pictured my parents in their home, and they were featured in the Smithsonian magazine that called my father the father of 3D digital art and animation. And my mother was a sculptor, and obviously my father was a professor of art at Hopkins Hall, and that's where they met. So this is significant that my mother was my father's student at Ohio State. And so right now I'm going to take you here to some of his not very first work, which the first act was composed of his work from the 60s, his plotter drawings and innovations during that period. But this continues into the 80s, where there was a Cibachrome. The only print available was a Cibachrome for this type of work, and he worked to research with a grant from the National Science Foundation in the 60s and continued his research all the way through his lifespan. But here he's using a tool that fragments objects. So this is a really nice example of one of the artistic tools that was created here in collaboration with a programmer at Ohio State. And then here we have a number of animations that also show this fragmentation tool. He was very interested in mythology and the Greeks and Romans. Here's also more fragmentation examples. He's also very interested in layering at this point. Here you see the object emerging from the fragmentation fields, and his color theory is very apparent here with his prismatic colors. Here you've got an example of his ribbon tool that was created with Steve May at Ohio State, who is now CTO of Pixar. And he wanted to explore the organic with a computer, and also to get layers of complexity that you couldn't achieve by hand. And here, you know, he's pushing the envelope in terms of 3D as well. Here you have what he called his light series, and he plays with transparency, and he has animation running on top of objects that are animating. So they're basically scenes within scenes. I think it's quite hypnotic and meditative. So he wanted to sort of contrast what was going on in the video game world and really focus on fine art animation that was very soothing and beautiful. So next you have this golden mask, which was actually on the cover of the SIGGRAPH proceedings and catalog, and this won an award. And this is where he is working with the organic, with nature, but he's also basically sculpting objects. So he's poking holes in this 3D rendering. And this was another interesting tool that he helped develop here. This was when he took the same object, the same data, and he decided to make what was called a skull-o-gram back then. So the skull-o-gram was in 1990, which was very early before the whole hologram. This, you know, really explores the 3D and his color, his sense of color here. He was very interested in Cézanne's color, and it's kind of reflected, I think, in this piece.